Hey, Alfonso Rachel here, and thank you for joining me for another dose of Up to No Good. Now, I've heard on a few occasions that God is a big hypocrite because he refers to himself as a jealous God. Jealousy is one of the 7 deadly sins, which makes God a big hypocrite doo-doo face. Well, hold on, let's back up. The 7 deadly sins are greed, envy, lust, gluttony, sloth, wrath, vanity, watching MSNBC, Bill Maher, The View. That's 7, right? Now, pretty much the wages of all sin is death, so I think pretty much all sin is deadly. Ain't none of them 7 deadly sins gonna result in you being less dead than another one? Like when you die, you'll be like dead light or something, whole milk dead as opposed to 2% milk dead. Second, the list of the so-called 7 deadly sins ain't outlined in the Bible that I know of. And not only that, in that list of 7, jealousy ain't one of them. Unless you're talking about envy, but envy and jealousy are 2 different applications here. Envy is a state of discontent and covetousness towards somebody's advantages and possessions or successes and whatnot. She thinks she all that because she got that good hair, because she got envy in her family. Make me sick. Jealousy can be defined as a state of vigilant guardianship towards something. And don't you go getting jealousy and obsessive twisted me. Look here, if I see you making eyes with her again, I will scratch your eyes out. I will scratch your eyes out. Baby, she the eye doctor, okay? I gotta look her in the eye. It's important to know that God is jealous over you. He ain't envious of you. It cracks me up, man, when people accuse God of being indifferent to us who does nothing about our suffering. And then on the other side of the mouth, they try to accuse him of being a jealous hypocrite. But which do you prefer, y'all? A God that is indifferent to you or a God that is jealous over you? Make up your mind, man. Dang. You got kids? Do you not have a jealous love over your kids? Do you have a spouse? Do you not have a jealous love over your spouse? Now, why is God a jealous God that doesn't want you worshiping other idols and such? Because the love of those things will cause you to do evil. Take money, for instance. But money itself is not evil. It's the worship. It's the love of money. That's evil. Don't let people try to tell you that money is evil. It's not. The Bible says the love of money. That's the root of all evil. That's why somebody was smart enough to put on our money, in God we trust. That way you know that money is not the source of your security. God is the source of your security, the one who gave you the talent to earn the money in the first place. But as you can see, too many people are focused and worried about the economy and ain't getting any better for it. It causes people to make bad and worse decisions. And their desperation causes them to trust the wrong people. And as we can see, the secularists are trying to lead the people to trust God less and make God less valid. And as a result, the deficit deepens, unemployment rises, and our debt increases. If you overlook God and put more concern on money, it leads to bad places. Oh yeah? Well, what about those Christians who watch porn and those pastors who sucker people out of their money and then go spend it on themselves? Well, what about it? And what did God have to do with their bad decision making? It ain't like God was sitting on their right shoulder and said, hey man, you know what, I'm bored. Let's go watch some porn. The weak-minded are the ones who accuse God for the wicked choices mankind makes. Remember, y'all, God didn't make us robots. He gave us free will. And speaking of which, God really doesn't dig it when people do bad things in his name. And unlike the 7 deadly sins, there is an actual top 10 list, and taking the Lord's name in vain is in there. It's a biblical top 10 no-no. That's right. Do not take my name in vain. For example, do not murder in my name. Allah Akbar, die infidelity. God's up there saying, Allah Akbar, what? Man, you can kiss my Akbar. Don't you be dragging my name into y'all murdering people. What's wrong with you? When we light this here cross on fire, it is to demonstrate the light of Jesus shining in the darkness. Well, I personally think you should stand a little closer to the light. Go on, stand a little closer. Remember, God is love, not hate. If you're using God's name to advance your hatred, then you're taking God's name in vain. God told me to kill my kids. Girl, don't you blame that on me. Don't you blame that on me. Don't go lying in God's name. Baby, I swear to God, I'm not lying to you. That's my friend's comment that you found in my car. I let him borrow my car. Woo-hoo. Don't go stealing in God's name. Don't go telling the congregation that you're going to add a wing to God's church when you're really going to dip into the collection plate to add a car to your garage. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, among those choices are the choices to love things more than you love God. Like loving the earth more than the one who blessed us with it. The new pagan church is now called environmentalism, and more people are being led to love the earth more than they love God. And this liberal movement is causing the liberals to lead people towards something they claim to fear and loathe. Something that they're always trying to accuse the capitalists and the right wing of doing. It ain't true, baby. The true culprits are the leftist pinko greenie secularists. And that thing that they will bring about that they are so afraid of is the New World Order. Now you can try to pin that on George H.W. Bush if you want to because of what he said. But the ones who speak volumes by their actions are the liberals. Who is it that wants a centralized government? That would be your liberals. Who is it that believes that all nations should be equalized? That would be your liberals. Who is it that's interested in globalization? That would be your liberals. What tools do the liberals use to lay the biggest guilt trip on people? Environmentalism. What is it that the liberals use to give the people a chance to feel enlightened and moralistic? Environmentalism. So I offer to you that environmentalism is going to be at the root of the New World Order. A world government that the leftists of mankind is trying to establish. Now, one of the things that these leftists tend to believe is that the world is overpopulated, whereas God's doctrine tells us to be fruitful and multiply. So which doctrine do you prefer? The environmentalist doctrine that says there's no more room for you? Or God's doctrine that makes it pretty clear that you're welcome here? And they will pass legislation that will put limits on the amount of children a couple can have for the sake of the environment. What? You don't believe me? Look at China. They have policies that limit the amount of children a person can have. And the methods included to maintain them limits include forced abortions, sterilization, and infanticide. And on a side note, y'all gotta love how the environmentalists use the children to sell their point about protecting the environment. They say we have to think of the children and the children of future generations. Children of future generations? You mean potential human beings? So let me get this straight. When it comes to the environment, children that haven't been born yet count as human beings? But at any other time, an unborn child does not qualify as human. And y'all call God a hypocrite. Now, the environmentalists pretty much believe that child limits is enlightened policy. And since their ideals will be at the foundation of the New World Order, you can be sure that those kind of policies will be imposed. Oh yeah, it'll be done at the taxpayer's expense. How's all that for pro-choice? To appease the environment, children will be sacrificed. And sacrificing children to other gods ain't nothing new. This is why God says, do not put any other gods before me, because the children end up paying for it. And because people have been led to believe that the economy and the government are more important than God, well, the children are going to be paying that off up to 3 generations deep. The children pay for what you make more important than God. Well, God is the cause of all these wars and stuff, and it causes sons and daughters to be sacrificed too. Man, if you believe that, please read my book. If you are as open-minded as you think you are, then you got to read my book. So in short, yes, God is jealous over you for your sake. He's not indifferent to you. Mankind is the guilty party of turning their backs on him. It's not the other way around. And if God takes a step back from us, it ain't for no reason. It's because man takes his attention off of God and puts it on some form of a golden calf. If you make something else your God, whether it be the environment, money, or your own flesh, God is rightfully jealous. And God's jealousy is more righteous than the most righteous thing you've ever done in your life. Thanks for hanging out with me on Up to No Good. And if you got any questions or comments, chuck it in the bucket.